Are you recording now?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. B-roll.
Oh, yeah. We got to get the B-roll. That's how we get intros every time.
We've always been recording.
Wow. The Mouth of Sauron is a legendary creature? That's weird.
Hello and welcome to the MoxStars podcast. I am one of your hosts, Evan Kunai, and I'm here with my two co-hosts, one being Jordan Garcia.
Yo, what up?
And Christopher Ritter.
Hello.
Today we're doing a big old bonanza of an episode. We're talking about the Lord of the Rings set. This is our set review, and anyone got any pregame actions? Fuck no, because we ain't got time for that. We're actually going to go through each color, artifact, and multicolored, and just kind of give you our thoughts on all of these brand new, exciting cards. But before that, if you'd like to support the show, you can do so by finding us on most major podcasting platforms. You can find us there, subscribe, and please review the show. It goes a long way for the algorithm and helping more people find us. And also, you can find us on YouTube, where you can like, subscribe, and hit that little bell for more notifications.
You can find us on Discord, where you can talk to us.
Discord's been popping off, and fun little shout out. Gameplay videos are coming soon.
Woo! Yeah, we've been testing out these new camera, or with this new camera, and these play mats.
Yeah.
We cannot wait for you guys to see this. This is actually something that is blowing us away, that we're like honestly shocked at how good it looks.
I'm hyped for recording right here, right now.
Yeah, and we're actually recording in our new little studio.
Yeah, I was gonna say we don't have time for a full pregame action, but a little pregame action is we have a full new little MoxStars studio, new MoxStars playmats, and we're working on gameplay videos coming very soon.
Yeah, and we're really excited to get out to more events where you guys can see these playmats in person.
Yeah,
and seeing those tokens that we're working on too. So
the tokens are exciting. There was right before we started recording, Eli posted like a formatted token.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get the fuck out. I've not seen
Can we
that
live react to this right now?
Yeah, pull it up, man.
What the fuck? Just so you guys know, Eli is our good buddy, also known as Death Milk. He designs. He is an AI artist, and his shit is awesome.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You heard it here first.
Holy shit.
I haven't even gotten there yet. So hold on.
So you have some like notes. He has to dial it in.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Start over.
Whoa.
Token format. What the fuck?
Dude, look at the last one.
Yeah, the last one, I didn't even see that. That was like while we were starting to record.
Oh my
that third
god.
One. Yeah, I'm definitely into the third one.
Oh my god.
Wow.
100% third one.
We can't share these with the public yet.
Yeah,
but once
these are prototypes.
They're too hot for the pod.
Yeah,
right now.
once we have the designs finalized and we've paid Eli his commission for this,
Of course.
then we'll be more than happy to show the public to get you guys hyped for what is on the way.
100%. We are working on new gameplay videos, tokens, hella merch. We got playmats now, and we're going to be dropping a Patreon coming up here pretty soon.
Patreon is coming soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boom.
I'm super stoked for that.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for a while. It's finally ripe.
Coming to fruition.
I mean,
Yeah.
we've been doing the podcast, and I think it's like time to fucking level up.
We got some exciting ideas for tiers, for like sweet stuff for you guys. I think you're going to be pumped.
Could you say it's forced fruition? Anyone know? You guys know what that card is? No.
That is
green
a
card,
card. It's a green
It's
card.
not a green card.
No? Oh, boy.
No, it's
So we do not know what that card
okay.
is.
Never mind. Bad joke. All right.
All right, now we officially took a pregame action. Let's get to it.
We've got our boat captain, Christopher Ritter, here leading this treasured cruise on this review of Lord of the Rings.
I was not expecting the nautical theming to this transition. But
mateys.
I guess since we're here on the open seas, we'll start in blue with Watcher on the water.
Dude, that's perfect because it's exactly what's up on my screen right now.
Watcher in the water.
Watcher in the water. That is a 3 blue. Oh, it's shit. It's legendary. Okay, so we're gonna have a lot of commander.
A lot of legends in this deck.
That is true, and there's legend payoffs. It's fucking awesome. Let's get to it. 3 blue for a legendary creature, Kraken. What's Kraken? The Watcher in the water enters the battlefield. tapped with 9 stunt counters on it. Stun counters, not stunt counters. Whenever you draw a card during an opponent's turn, create a 1/1 blue tentacle. All right, we're starting to see some more of these payoffs. Here we go. Whenever a tentacle you control dies, untap up to 1 target Kraken and put a stun counter on up to 1 target non-land permanent. Just so you know, a stun counter is if a permanent with a stun counter would become untapped, remove the 1 counter from it instead. It is also a 9/9 Kraken for 5, which is kind of nutty.
Yeah, it's a great rate. You're going to be taking a lot of game actions when this lands, and it starts going off. I mean, do you guys want to walk through some of the lines that are possible here?
It's kind of crazy. I think I'm getting a little bit of like the green-blue commander.
Arixmethes?
Yeah, thank you. Arixmethes from it.
So there's actually, I think in our Discord there was Margarita who gave us a line for how to draw your deck infinitely with this.
Word?
On
Shout out
somebody
Marg.
else's,
Again, shout out to the Discord. You should be on it.
You should be on it.
Yeah.
Fucking up if you're not.
It's basically as long as you can cast something with flash, like if you activate an emergent zone and you have a Bull Settler and a way to cast artifacts off the top. So people are saying like as far as like Elsha could be a good this could be a good card in Elsha because as long as you're able to like cast something with flash and like a Sensei's Top, right? You infinitely cast and draw, and whenever you draw a card, you keep going.
So what is it, like the Mystic Forge? You could do because in the mono blue combo, right? So you do Mystic Forge, Sensei's Top. That makes sense. Because I didn't even think about that. In my head, I saw like kind of that once per turn clause, but it doesn't say that. It says when you draw a card during an opponent's turn, which is just you can draw 50 cards on somebody else's turn and you get 50 tentacles.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing about this set is that it's also modern viable. So we could be seeing a strategy that we're talking about EDH, this being viable in EDH, but the power that this has that it could potentially have in modern is still unforeseen. I feel like
I think it has a high ceiling in a few different formats. There's enough text on that card, all of which is relevant, and it's a good rate for a good body. I feel like there's something there.
Yeah, totally. It does look like it does need a lot of work. Like there are ways to like sort of finagle this thing in EDH, but in other formats, it does look like it needs a little bit of work. Mm-hmm. Whereas like the Regent or whatever from Modern Horizons 2, the dragon thing that was a mythic as well. It has Delve. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, you're talking about the fucking thing that's been terrorizing Modern for a while.
Man, my brain has just been sticky.
Oh, the thing of the thing.
The thing of the thing. Anyway,
card
if you know a card,
has a CMC.
It has a CMC. Yeah.
Oh, it does.
It's a card type.
Power toughness.
Delve. If you guys know what card we're talking about, please leave
it's
it in
a
the
modern
comments. We're
staple.
We're
that
dumb.
Just blanking on. We're not modern people, and we're moving on.
I'm just starting to think of like viable targets for this. Would you rather play that has Delve, where you can exile cards, reduce the mana cost, or would you rather play this? Or
100% that card is
so
better.
Exactly.
Okay, what's the next card on the list?
Boom. Another card that I'm looking for that has possible interesting lines is Eoreth of the Healing House. It is 1 blue, 2 colorless, 1/4. Tap, untap another target permanent. Tap, untap 2 other target legendary creatures.
I love me some untap nonsense.
So even without thinking it through, and I'm going to be honest, I haven't thought it through.
Not at all.
If a card has multiple untapping abilities, especially if it hits multiple permanents, there's combo lines. You can break it somehow, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and then you get just like anything that doubles an activated ability, any of those effects, like I can imagine it gets pretty fucking nutty.
Yeah, this is like when this was spoiled, people were super hyped on it because one, if you've read the books, you know that Eoreth is like one of the more badass characters in it. Like, does no wrong, is just OP as hell. Like as a healer, like just magical in that realm. So it's really cool that they've given a card like that, a character like that, a card like this.
Yeah, because I mean, necessarily lore-wise, the power level of certain characters, especially not characters, characters that didn't appear in the movies, they're not necessarily balanced to what they are in the lore, and this is a cool case where those things line up.
Yeah, it represents her ability to get a soldier back on their feet almost instantly, you know, like, so it's a really cool lore card. I do think you're right. As soon as you start putting untapped target permanent, untapped target, you know, 2 target legendary permanents or whatever, you really start running the lines of like, oh, you can break this easily.
Also, she's legendary. So if you want to be in mono blue and you want part of your combo in the command zone, you have access to that on this card. You know, and especially with those untap abilities, there's lines there for you.
Yeah, there's some mesmeric orb stuff here, for sure.
Hey, did you guys know I have ADHD and couldn't focus on anything you said because I had to look up what that card was?
Murktide Regent.
It's Murktide Regent. Yep.
Okay,
moving on.
My brain hit it 3 seconds into your sentence.
That said, I really do like untapping nonsense, and I built that other card I can't think of that I'll have to go get.
Oh, man. Well, Jordan, you deserve a stern scolding. Speaking of
Let's
wow,
hot transition.
That for sure. I think we're all in agreement that's going to be a staple in CDH.
Yes.
100%. I am actually we've been honestly on our Discord, shout out, been talking about it nonstop for pretty much the last week, and everybody I think has come around to the point that everybody wants to play it.
Yeah, it's so the way I see
Definitely
it is
testing it.
It is in the same breath as Swan Song and Offer You Can't Refuse, Mental Misstep. Like it is in that range of power, like especially in the competitive format, because you start looking at all the things that this can hit. And blue has been without a proper creature counter for way too long. Like Force of Will and Pact Negation have been like literally your only 2. But that requires you to go down in card advantage. It requires you to waste like a couple of your silver bullets essentially to like stop a dockside. Where this is like, nope, 1 mana, stop dockside.
Yeah, I agree. None of our creature counters have been at a good enough rate to justify us playing them.
But 1 mana is a great rate.
Totally, 100%.
Yeah.
And nor have like there've been we're talking about CDH now for this card, obviously. But I also don't think that there has been a time recently where a creature counter would have been considered as much. But with this printing, with the current meta, given how many creatures there are nowadays, even in CDH games, I think it's going to be very impactful, including most of the win conditions.
Yeah, this stops so much in like blue has, I think we've talked about it before, but blue has this like responsibility to the table to play properly on the stack. And like it just leaves it to the rest of the table to like play and do whatever the hell they want. Like Naya decks like Rocco, they just turbo out and it's hard to like keep them in check. But now you literally have a 1 mana counter to Rocco, which is just like, wow.
Yeah, it's, you know, Thoracle, Dockside. We're not going to go through the whole list, but it is absolutely insane.
Timna, Najila. Does it hit Najila, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's power or toughness.
Yeah.
Like,
power
you know.
or toughness. The flexibility there is so good.
Yeah, and that's why it hits so many targets.
Yeah, so we did a thought experiment in the Discord, and everybody was like, all right, post your current list, and then post how many creatures it hits versus how many creatures it doesn't hit. And you would be shocked. It was like 80% plus.
Yeah, of the relevant cards that in CEDH.
Yeah.
In Commander, I'd say like even if you're playing just like refined, like you've worked on your decks for a while, it's still going to hit over 50% of most decks.
Yeah, this isn't a CDH exclusive. I didn't mean to insinuate that it was, but like you just don't get as many like people focusing counter spells, I guess, in casual.
Right. But this is really good at uncommon, and it's one of the best moments in the movie too. Like I think that the artwork depicts that very well.
Full of a took.
Yeah. And that's, I guess this whole set was just kind of really nice where like I was so apprehensive to it because I thought that, oh, they would just take screenshots of the movies like they did with the fucking League of Legends show
that was trash.
for the Secret Lair. That set was trash. But instead, they actually got the artists to come in here and create something that feels like magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Wizards as a company, I think, has realized that their fan base responds better to the Universes Beyond product when it's not just a pure cash grab. Like when it seems like there's thought put into it, the player community will get behind it.
I definitely think this set is going to be very successful, and it'll show them that they should continue and proceed doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I have my list here of cards that I thought were interesting, that were possibly relevant, in CDH, and not even including modern, and it's, I don't know, 50 or 60 cards. I have something good about them. Like, definitely when they designed this set, they took care.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah, it doesn't break immersion at all, which is great here.
Yeah. No, I think the flavoring of the cards, my favorite thing in Magic in general is like how flavor meets mechanics. And I think that's really only comes from where the game designers get very involved and spend a lot of time on the sets. It's how you execute that very well. And, sometimes you just see lazy mechanics to justify another secret layer package. And I think this is the time where, they got very hands-on and made sure they did a good job. So I definitely think the mechanics justify the flavor and vice versa.
Yeah, and all the flavor texts are actually quotes from the book. Which
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super rad
Which is
if you're
pretty-
a dork.
pretty sick.
And we all are. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, next.
One last blue card I want to talk about, and this is it's a little spicy. I feel like Press the Enemy.
Press the enemy.
2 blue, 2 colorless, instant, return target spell or non-land permanent and opponent controls to its owner's hand. You may cast an instant or sorcery spell with equal or lesser mana value from your hand without paying its mana cost.
I like this.
So, super conditional, but you might get a real good payoff out of this where I think it's relevant enough that if you have an open slot, it's worth testing.
Yeah, this is rad. I think my first thoughts are like, this is very expensive for interaction.
For sure.
But
That second line of text makes
exactly
it real spicy.
They knew that, and then they came up with an answer for it. So it has a possibility, like, right? So instead of you are paying way too much mana for an interaction spell, especially a bounce spell, you are getting a huge tempo play, actually.
Totally.
If you, granted, have to have the card in your hand to capitalize off of it, but I don't think you even need to have something that's that crazy to like really swing this. Even if it was like you hit a 4-drop and you just do like a 2-drop cantrip.
Well, think about it this way. It can be a ramp spell.
Yeah.
Listen, regardless of what you have in your hands, you can just wait to pay 4 mana to bounce something real fat back to your opponent's hand and then cast whatever you need to out of your hand way earlier.
100%.
I mean, Jordan's been playing Thixus lately, so bouncing.
Exactly.
Yeah. If he has no response to you, bouncing his Hullbreaker, or Hullbreaker Horror.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. So I like that it gives that flexibility. And the other flexibility I see on the card is it says it return target spell or non-land permanent, which means you can interact on the stack or on the battlefield. And so that makes it a little more justified at the cost for me.
Yeah, I
like
think
it.
it just has a very high ceiling.
I agree.
It's worth testing. And there's cards like you were talking shit about Fairy Mastermind in the Discord.
Still will.
There's cards that read like they have a high ceiling, and then you play test them, and it doesn't really work out. I think you guys are all down on Fairy Mastermind right now.
And I think Ledger Shredder is starting to like fall into that territory.
Yeah. I think, that spot that you were holding for Fairy Mastermind, maybe throw this guy in there and see if that, resolve some things for you.
Totally. If you're running an interaction suite that is comprised of all the staples in CEDH, you do have a little bit of room to include more interaction, and this is one where I feel like, yeah, you could get away with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What color do you guys want to go to next? Give me a color.
Well, we didn't start in order, so white.
White. Okay. Easy peasy. Gandalf the White.
Gandalf the White. Out the gate.
Yeah, this is a 5-mana legendary creature, 3 and 2 white. Avatar Wizard.
Love it.
4/5 with flash. You may cast legendary spells and artifact spells as though they had flash. If a legendary permanent or an artifact entering or leaving the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time.
Yeah, a little confusing wording on that last text box, but basically it just means a lot of things trigger.
Yeah,
You get triggers anytime something happens.
Yeah, it's a panharmonicon for legendaries and artifacts specifically. But what's sick is it's also a Vidalcan Orrery. So if you can bite the bullet and play mono white, you get a Vidalcan Orrery and that other card I just said and can't remember in the command zone with flash on a 4/5 body, and it's Gandalf. What could go wrong?
Yeah, it's really cool because flavorfully it works with Wizard Rockets, because Wizard Rocket says that when it leaves the battlefield you get to draw a card. So as long as Gandalf is on the field and you fire off the Wizard Rockets, cracking it for mana, you'll get to draw 2 cards.
Hey, look at that. All right,
Entering or leaving. Wow.
Yeah.
So there's a little
Every
bit
which
of,
way. Yeah.
What?
There's a little bit of we haven't quite seen the
Entering or
potential.
leaving. So this
here.
is a gassed fucking.
It's double.
Yeah, if you want to
blast.
start flickering things and ephemerating and doing it to
Get a
legendary
coming and
permanents.
going. What
yeah.
the fuck?
Yeah, that's where I'm like, I've never seen this effect before.
It's
I've
never-
seen half of this effect before.
We've seen both sides of this effect before. We've seen, Teysa Karlov, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
Yeah,
that's
you-
when things die. This is just if it
Leaves.
leaves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do you have like a
that hasn't existed.
No.
yeah?
But with Flash,
yeah, I don't know.
giving everything Flash and it having Flash, like that makes me a little excited. Like I would think about this. Immediately it makes me think of Teshar, right? Like Teshar was and always is like a little underestimated. And that deck can fucking turn one.
Yeah.
It's
gas.
It is gas. So obviously, like it's a little bit different play around, but I don't see this not being gas.
Totally.
Yeah,
It's
I
got
think it's a great
potential.
card. A card with a little less upside, but I think is going to find some slots is Boromir, Warden of the Tower.
This is the one we actually have been talking about a lot in the Discord.
Yeah, it seems like old reliable. It has some real relevant text on it.
Very fitting to the character. I absolutely love this card.
Yeah, so
Like-
I'll read it off real quick. It's Boromir, Warden of the Tower, 2 and a white, legendary creature, human soldier, vigilance with a 3/3 body. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell. We've only ever seen that on one other card before, Lavinia. And then sacrifice Boromir, Warden of the Tower. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn, and the ring tempts you. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, it seems like a very versatile stacks piece.
Yes, if you're not aware of what the ring tempting you the first time does, it
Me
makes
either.
you choose a ring bearer, and then your ring bearer is can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. So
On the first tempt.
yes, with the first tempt.
That is the least exciting thing about this card.
Yeah, because you're likely only running one, maybe two tempt cards. Like that's the thing is there's only like one or two cards that are active.
Yeah, overall, big picture, I don't think there's enough tempt payoffs to make it something that you're really going to invest in, except for in like limited,
Yeah, for
Right.
sure. But that being said, I think Lavinia isn't really played as much as it should be for how good that text is because of the color restriction. So the fact that we got rid of that and then added some upside because we made it one more mana to where now you have an on the board protection effect, like a selfless savior.
Exactly.
Yeah, and also for what it's worth, if no mana was spent to cast a spell, counter that spell is a great line of text in CDH because blue is running those free counters.
Let's discuss some potentials.
Yeah.
Force of Negation, Force of Will, Pact of Negation, Mana Crypt, Mox Diamond, any of the evoke creatures that everybody likes to run these days.
Yeah, I mean, without a Grand Abolisher on the board, you can now safely run into a tapped out blue player if such exists, in this life.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct.
And there are a few other, like anytime you're paying Phyrexian mana, Mental Misstep, it stops that too. Like this has so much potential early in the game. Like let's say you take first turn and you have a crypt and a land. Like great, you've just shut off everybody else from also turboing out. So you're getting a head start. They're not going to be able to get where you're at until they're able to get rid of Boromir.
Oh, that's right. Counters crypt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a few things that it really does pull a weight here.
People don't think
You know what? I
about
like it a lot more now that you guys have talked
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you're like, you see it and you're like, okay, and then you go to take your next turn, and then you realize like the impact that it had, and it's like the thing that kills the ETBs, like the no ETB effects. Everybody's like, yeah, sure, Hushbringer's fine, and then you're like, I have everything as an ETB right now.
Yeah.
And I think it's very much the same effect.
Yeah,
Totally.
it's like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You're taking it for granted, and then you take a bite of that peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and it's amazing.
Right,
It's,
like
it's a
imagine-
top 5 sandwich.
Right. Like this card comes out, right? The first week, you top of turn order, land, Mana Crypt, Boromir, right? People are like, okay, that's a weird ass card to turn one. Why was an heuristic study or whatever? Okay, they go to pass the turn. Chrome Mox. Okay, counters.
Yep.
Okay, now the next person who's holding a Mana Crypt is fucking
Just goes, fuck me.
Oh man, a turn 1 Boromir just seems busted now.
Oh
all
yeah,
of a sudden.
100%. Or maybe you're going second or third. Imp Seal, they put a Mana Crypt on top. That's fucking garbage turn 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the big thing is, like people when they mulligan, they're going for turbo. They're going
Exactly.
for gas. If they see a mana crypt in their opening hand, guess what? They're keeping that hand.
You just
yeah.
made all 3 other players at the table trash their opening hands, essentially.
Pretty
You
much.
know?
It's 100% one of those things. It's the same thing like if you can stop tutors like on a turn 1, turn 2 play. It is extremely powerful, and I think this effect is will be played more now that it's on this card.
Yeah, it's really great because, I mean, you go in for your win, like Shalai and Halar is really the deck that I'm looking to like plug this into. If I'm going for my win and I have this on the battlefield, like I'm going to go to cast the Red Terror if I don't have protection. Otherwise, this is just like, hey, you can't force a will me. You can't.
Exactly.
You can't stop that from landing. So, and guess what? If they do have interaction beyond that, I can just sacrifice Boromir to protect everything on the board.
Yep.
So, from removal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really great. Really great card.
All right. This card, I promise you, is mid.
I will justify it.
But the Battle of Bywater. I like it. 1 colorless, 2 white. Sorcery. Destroy all creatures power 3 or greater. Then create a food token for each creature you control.
Nice.
So I think definitely more in Modern, this has a great upside, but also in CDH, like it can be a pretty one-sided board wipe that then also ramps you pretty intensely.
Yeah, this nukes nukes a Nagila off the board. It nukes Winota. Like most board states that Winota has will get wiped from this.
3 or greater. This isn't in Nagila.
With power 3 or destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater. Isn't Nagila 3?
I think just 2.
I'm wrong.
You know what? We brought this up earlier in the episode, and I don't know if we came to a conclusion on it, but it does for some reason hit Nagila, whether it's power or toughness.
Jeeler.
We know what we're doing.
3-2.
3-2.
3-2, it kills Nagila. It kills Nagila. Let's go.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, I think this card could be really good. More than anything, what I think needs to change in CDH is more board wipes, please. And if
100%.
like honestly, they do come
It's
in
not
handy.
relevant.
It is 100% relevant because there's so many board states that just get gunked up and
It gets super gunky super quick, bro.
in their decks like Kenrith that can recover super fast, like
And there's fuckers that play Sylvan Safekeeper.
right, yeah, and this just kind of like gets around that.
100%.
That's why I think like Force of Despair also deserves a
I
place
love
at the
Force of
table,
Despair.
You know,
Great card.
Huge fan of it.
Countered by Boromir sometimes. but,
Sometimes.
You know?
yeah. No, I think this is a good card. It is definitely mid.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Citywide Bust,
Okay.
but otherwise this hits a lot.
I think, but I just think there's some shells that are really going to appreciate this effect.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing like benefiting off of all those treasures too is huge.
Yeah, that's it's that second
not
line
those
of text
treasures,
that
but those artifacts
takes it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like it for Shorkai. Now that I said that.
Yeah.
I mean, Shurikai loves board wipes.
100%.
So
Yeah.
a good B+ board wipe for sure gets a slot in there.
totally.
Yeah. Next card I want to talk about is Forge Anew. 2 colorless, 1 white enchantment. When Forge Anew enters the battlefield, return targeted equipment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. As long as it's your turn, you may activate equip abilities anytime you could cast an instant. You may pay 0 rather than pay the equip cost of the first equip ability you activate during each of your turns. So it's amped up Sigarda's Aid, equipment synergies.
Is this a Hammer Time staple?
Yeah, I think it's going to go in Hammer Time for
Yeah.
sure in Modern,
This is the first time we've seen something like this in a while.
Yeah, it
An
used to
effect like
just be
this.
that Leon and Shikari or whatever.
And then Sigarda's Aid. And
Yeah.
now you get like kind of all of these payoffs all stapled onto one card. It's got to be the best, right? Like Sigarda's Aid's
so.
1, sure. Like
Yeah, I mean,
awesome.
dropping Sigarda's Aid turn 1 is
But
sick.
for 2 more mana, you do get 2 more mana worth of fucking value out of this card. Like the recursion on it, on top of that. Oh, man. Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, it has 3 different things that all synergize with one another, but then all alone are worthwhile effects.
Yeah.
So you have, again, you're returning things from the graveyard, you're equipping at instant speed, and you're getting a free equipped every turn.
Yeah, talking about our own format, like the fucking equipment decks. Holy cow. I think this is better than Sigarda's Aid and Commander. Like, this is insane.
Yeah, and you can re-equip for, at instant speed. So like Lightning Greaves becomes pretty much protection for everything on your board.
Also, it's a permanent with an EGB.
Yeah.
You can flicker it. Displacer kitten, anybody?
Hey,
True. So
we go.
you're
already-
potentially
you finally broke Displacer Kitten.
There it is. I've been trying. And, you're already playing probably that Stoneforge Mystic. So, you've got an ETB package going on with equipments. I don't know.
It'd be interesting to see how many equipments have sacrifice abilities on them to like sacrifice this, blast something, right? And
Seems like a red equipment to me.
maybe.
I'm not sure how many of those exist.
Yeah, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
they must exist, right?
So, so this could be
Maybe
that.
terrible artifacts from the early days of Magic that are now relevant.
Yeah.
This card.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's the power this card brings.
Go find it on.
But you know what?
Spectable.
Speaking of equipment, I want to talk about Frodo Determined Hero.
Yes.
1 white, 1 colorless, legendary halfling warrior. When Frodo Determined Hero enters the battlefield or attacks, you may attach target equipment you control with mana value 2 or 3 to Frodo. So that is all these Swords of, as well as a bunch of other relevant equipment targets. Second line of text. As long as it's your turn, prevent all damage that would be dealt to Frodo. So you don't even, it's already got half the protection that you need.
Yeah, this could be really good mono white, and then you could just honestly you could use the Sword of Once and Future to like recast something from your graveyard with Frodo here. Like I think that's actually pretty crazy. Protection from blue and black, also very very relevant since it seems that most removal in any format is blue or black. So I think this is incredibly strong. We've seen it a few times on like a few of the Cat Warrior deals, like was it Buresc or Oresco's? I don't know, whatever. Burmaz or like
Burmaz, King of Oresco.
Yeah. So this for 2 mana seems like it's very strong.
This card is gas, dude.
Yeah, I think it's worth building around, or at least throwing thought crafting something on Mox Field.
Yeah, I mean, even in your like just some value plays, like, even in your Boros deck, Ritter, like this seems like
for sure.
Fucking
yeah,
I was gonna ask if that was going in,
and it's a legendary. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, there's lots of support for Yoshimaru Kedros.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, this is really cool. The first thing, or like the only weird little corner case I think of, is back in the day, Najeela players used to play Sword of Feast and Famine as a way to go infinite. It's like one of the worst ways to go infinite with the Najeela ability. But Frodo is a warrior, and it ETBs and equips a Sword of Feast and Famine, or attacks and equips a Sword of Feast and Famine, right? So like,
even something that allows it to be unblockable with Nature's Will would be kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad, but you could do it.
And here's another thing that I like, just touching back to like lore things, is that, we've talked about Gandalf the White. We've talked about now Frodo. A lot of the main characters have gassed cards in the set.
Very relevant. We need to consider like all of these.
You want to play the protagonists, and they have made it worthwhile to play them.
And the villains, like we'll get to them. They're fucking sick. I'm hyped about them.
Yeah. Hey guys, I want to talk about another card.
Okay.
Lost to Legend. 2 white mana, instant. Put target non-land historic permanent into its owner's library, 4th from the top. Which is often, it's not a great rate at 2 mana, but that effect is often so much better than killing or exiling or whatever you're going to do to a permanent if you really want to get rid of it.
I mean, it's 2 mana removal for a commander, which is super easy peasy.
Yep.
They're definitely not putting it 4th from the top.
No, for sure. But I mean, putting that mana tax on it is not bad at all.
Yeah.
And then any upside from there, I'm chill with.
Yeah, I'm not sure what flexibility this has.
I
once it said historic, I was like kind of lost. I'm like, what does that hit? It's kind of weird, like that they're bringing this text back from Dominaria is when it was first introduced, and we're just don't use it ever. It's not an evergreen.
Gotta have those
like
legendary
word.
payoffs.
Yeah. So I mean, what got to be like 70% of the creatures in this set are legendary. So yeah, it's really it does play really well in the draft format for this set.
All right, fine, it's trash. Have your way, Evan. All right, but what about a card that I know for sure is good?
Amazing.
Reprieve.
Jordan, what do you think about this card?
I was excited about it first because it's interaction in white. I've cooled on it. I mean, it has existed in blue for a long time.
He thinks it's trash.
Okay, so both you guys hate me. All right.
No, I love
card
this card.
choices suck.
I love this card.
Those are great. I love it. I love everything you're pitching.
I think this is like Jordan has said it. This card has existed in blue. That's the problem, is it hasn't existed in white, and it was maybe why we're hot on it.
Yeah, maybe that's why I'm overestimating it.
Yeah.
I get that. I mean, it's cool that it's color shifting to a color that has very limited interaction on the stack, which I think is badass. So if you're mono white, I would probably play this card mono white.
Yeah,
I'm just not playing a lot of mono white decks.
Yeah, if you played a lot of blue, Jordan made a really good point that Mardu decks are seeing more play because you're able to basically swap blue for white and still go just as fast as you were able to before.
Probably faster.
Probably faster, yeah, with a lot of card draw, Esper Sentinel and stuff like that exists out there now. This
Sabine's Reclamation.
Yeah, and this card just doesn't fit into those molds very well. I am going to be looking at it in like Shalai and Halar as like a slot, but then it's 2 mana to, you know, interact, which you're hardly ever holding up. You know,
Fair
it's
enough.
like that's why, you know, like we're talking about Stern Scolding being great is because any interaction suite, it either has to be free or 1 mana.
100%. 2
that's-
mana is just ain't it these days.
Yeah, this is going to be a really great card for like refined Magic or like for your like high power tables when you get when you get to the competitive scene and you start sitting at those tables, you're going to find that this card doesn't necessarily pull the weight that you want it to. Like we've talked about cards that read like they're really good, and we're seeing it for the first time in white, so we're all
another
very
fairy
excited.
mastermind.
Yeah.
That's my benchmark card for overrated.
The best part is it replaces it. It replaces it.
It does.
And that's something that white is missing, is like cards that do that. Like, so that's why I think if you're in these colors, you can definitely consider this. I do think I will see it at a competitive, like in the competitive scene. It will need to like make or break a game. Like it'll either have to win a game or lose a game to get noticed.
My point is that you're going to see this card.
Yes.
I think you will. And like, you know, I'm thinking Winota, right? It's like we play the Tybalt's Trickery sometimes just to like interact at that right time, that one protection spell you need. This is another one of those. And like you said, it draws you a card too. So like it is not the worst card by any means.
Totally.
Cool.
I'm just a spoiled blue player.
2 last cards in white that I want to talk about.
You
and
talked
they
about
are-
a lot more white cards than blue cards, I just want to say.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't play a lot of blue.
I should have made the list, I guess.
You should have made. Yeah, you
I
had your
hear you.
chance.
I hear you. Go ahead.
Last 2 cards, they're related, and I don't think they are good on their own. But I do want to say, I think we're on the verge of a viable food deck, and both these cards are going to play roles in there, and it is Rosie Cotton and the Gaffer. Rosie Cotton, they're both 3 CMC halfling peasants. When Rosie Cotton of South Lane enters the battlefield, create a food token. Whenever you create a token, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature control other than Rosie.
Jeez.
And then the Gaffer is every time you gain 3. Let me get down to the Gaffer. I thought I knew off the top of my head what it does.
If you create a token,
Yeah.
that's really good.
Yeah, man. Come on. I think it's in the commander stuff. I don't feel like strolling. But basically, whenever you gain 3 or more life, you draw a card.
At the end step. If
At
you
the end
gain,
step,
gain
yeah.
3 or
That's
more
right,
life.
that's
Yep.
right.
So
They're
you
both
might
good.
draw 3 cards around off it if you got excess food tokens. I think whatever food deck happens is either going to be green-white or green-white-black. And those 2 cards are definitely going to fill slots in there.
Yeah, I'm actually building food. My Teom rebuild will be food.
Awesome.
The victory will be through food.
Hey, this
Academy
is
manufacturer and all sorts of shenanigans.
Nope, just we'll talk about Samwise Gamgee later in the set. But
Oh, we will. It's on the list.
It is a self-contained loop that'll just outright win the game.
nice. Also, notably, this card, Evan, a 3-mana creature that puts counters on things.
Yeah, whenever you create a token, and I don't do that very often, but
You have multiple things that do that.
I mean, they create tokens. Like I'm not playing Dockside though, or anything. If I was playing Dockside, I'd be like, "Let's go!" You know?
Promise the Boonrai, bro. That makes tokens.
Oh, you're talking for like Teom.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Oh, I see. I thought you were talking about like other decks.
It's a
Sorry.
3-mana permanent that makes counters.
Oh,
that's everything Teom wants
that's
to
making
do.
sense.
That's everything Teom wants to do in one card.
I'll test it. See what
I don't know.
happens.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I do agree, and I think we'll say this maybe outside of this format as well as food just being a thing for a while. We haven't. Seen
I mean, it's
payoffs.
going to get a ton of support in Wilds of Eldraine if we're to
For
make
sure.
some assumptions, since that
I think it's a
that
safe assumption.
food was introduced in the original Throne of Eldraine. Is
Yeah,
that correct?
We
Yeah.
already saw like some like gingerbread warrior deal like art from
Yeah.
before.
We gotta
so
have a
it's definitely
little
coming
food.
Yeah.
back.
So yeah, I could definitely see like a gassed modern deck coming in like this fall. You know,
Yeah.
these cards plus those cards. Why not?
Red or green, guys.
Evan, you pick this time.
Let's pick green because we know there's not a lot of good stuff there.
Boom.
Well,
Last
black.
March of the Ents.
Bad.
Ooh. Bad. It is bad, but it is notably a 1-mana saga with 6.
Oh, no. You're thinking of the naming of the Ents. Last March of the Ents is 8 CMC, 2 green, 6 colorless.
shit.
Sorcery, can't be countered. Draw cards equal to the greatest toughness among creatures you control. Then put any number of creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield.
Whoa.
It is, in fact, gassed, and it does not suck, Jordan. So eat shit.
Whoa. I actually didn't say that. That was what Evan said.
Well,
but
still you.
Sure,
I didn't-
100%.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What
Look
did
at
you say?
that. Look at that face. He wouldn't say something like that.
So there's like 3 things that are blank of the ends then.
Yeah, so last March of the Ents, I like the fact that it can't be countered.
Yep.
That is about as far as it goes for me. I just don't like relying on having something with a big booty. Like, it doesn't happen very often.
Oh, I love a big booty.
I
want to throw it in Galta.
Yeah.
Word.
Like, I guess from a scope of playing in a competitive realm, like, no, I'm not going to play this in any of those decks because 8 mana is hard to get to. But if the game's a little bit slower, you're like definitely going to 8 mana for sure. I do like this, right? Because you're probably playing a creature shell like you are with Galta. It's like, yeah, I'm going to draw 12 cards and I'm going to just basically spill my hand out, which is really sick.
No, I think it also goes in Selvala, though. Like, I think there are competitive
Yeah.
shells that are going to want this, that are going to have access to the green mana.
That is a good point. You could activate a Selvala with a Galta on the board, and then all of a sudden it gets crazy.
Yeah, drawing 12 cards.
Yeah.
Maybe
But
even
like
dropping 12
Storm
creatures.
kind of vibe.
you know?
I think you definitely do some shit like that.
Totally.
I think you can break it, and I think it's worth trying. And I'm going to try.
Do it.
He's
Okay,
gonna try.
here's a card we all agree on. Delighted Halfling.
This is.
Should we even talk about it?
No, let's move on.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it's good.
This is no, I was just joking. We should talk about it a little bit. This is one of the most hyped cards in the set. This is Insane Gas. I think this along with one other card specifically, other than Stern Scolding, are going to be CDH staples moving forward. And I think that's just insane.
Yeah, 1 green mana for a dork is already a good rate. We see it all the time. We see people playing Llanowar Elves still, like to this day. So the fact that you can pay 1 green mana and get a dork that either taps for 1 colorless or taps for 1 of any color, and then you can spend that mana only to cast legendary spells. Guess what? We're in a format where there is access to a legendary creature all the time.
Would you like
and
an uncounterable legendary creature?
Yeah, and that spell can't be countered. So, like, it is a pseudo... It's not necessarily the same as Allosaurus Shepherd, but it is like a pseudo Allosaurus Shepherd for your commander.
Yeah, to me, this is like... I love that it says legendary spell, too.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, if you have Planeswalker commanders and everything, too. Obviously, outside of commanders, it does a lot of great stuff. In my head, just like 5-color Sisay is just salivating with this card.
Really likes it.
Yeah, I think it's very, very, very good. Also, just not... Yes, you have the one restriction on the fact that it's a colorless mana at first, but they have just fully pushed this card like so far. It is a 1/2, so it doesn't even die to like a single damage effect.
Right.
Which is like the greatest nerf that we have for dorks.
Yeah. It's one of those things that when I saw this, I was just like, oh my God, it doesn't die to gut shot. It doesn't
Mayhem
die
Devil, like...
Yeah. You know, you get at least 2 shots with the Mayhem Devil for this.
Yeah, but like a lot of times it's just like, I have a Mayhem Devil, all right, 1 value trigger first. It's not like I'm doing anything crazy. It's always going towards dork.
Yeah.
Like every single time.
Ultimately, if they wanted this card to cost $20, they did the right thing. They put both lines of text on there. If they wanted to cost $10, they could have just put tap, add colorless mana. If it's used to if it's spent to cast a legendary spell, that spell can't be countered. That's what it should say, but instead it's like, nope, add 1 of any color. It's going to fix you. It's going to do everything you need it to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
It
It's a great
encourages
card.
you to play a high power 5-color deck, in my opinion.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Cool. Well, I'm going to go into 4 cards I'm going to group together with much lower upside on a topic you two aren't as hot on as I am, which is food enablers.
Let's go.
Media Doc Brandybuck, Peregrine Took, Many Partings, and Feasting Hobbit. So, Media Doc Brandybuck, 2 CMC whenever 1 or more halflings you control attack a player, create a food token.
Love.
Peregrine Took, whenever 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, create those tokens plus an additional food token. Many Partings, 1 CMC sorcery, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it in your hand, create a food token.
Pushed.
And then Feasting Hobbit, Devour Food 3. Creatures with power less than Feasting Hobbit can't be blocked. I mean, can't block it. So, again, beating a dead horse, but I think we have some decent pieces.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're going to see Gilded Goose come
Yeah,
back.
for sure.
Yep.
Feasting Troll King.
Fire foil
yes.
Gilded Gooses now.
Yep.
Academy Manufacturer.
Yeah, you should get out there. Not financial advice.
Not
but
financial
you
advice.
You should be getting out there and picking up a few Gilded Gooses while you can, while they're cheap.
Yeah, the Secret Lair one looks great.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, word. I forgot about that. Yeah. I just want to point something out real quick because we've been complaining with Wizards like really nerfing a lot of cards lately, especially like the once per turn effects. I want to point out something where we're going the opposite direction. We are getting a lot of variance and pushed in that manner of enter the battlefield effects. So we're seeing lots of things that are like, when this enters the battlefield or attacks, when this enters the battlefield or leaves the battlefield, when this or another X enters the battlefield. Like we're seeing all of these things that are just pushing the ETB effect, which is already a strong effect as it is. So I just wanted to shout that out because it's on a million fucking cards in this set. Just one right here, Gladriel, Gift Giver, 5 mana, 3 green, 4/4. Whenever she enters the battlefield or attacks, you get to either put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, create a food, or create a treasure.
Yeah, that's it's really great, and at rare too. This is totally going to win you a lot of games in limited.
Yeah, here's another one. Radagast, the brown, 2 green for a 2/5. When he or another non-token creature ETBs under your control, that's just super good. Look, like regardless of what the rest of the text says, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is that creature's mana value. You may reveal a creature card that doesn't share a creature type with the creature you control from among those cards and put it in your hand. Put the rest in the bottom of the library. 2/5. So he initially triggers and will go fetch you a 3-drop.
Yeah. X is 4 for Radagast, and then anything else. Yeah, and it's unlikely.
Oh, it's not less. Wow.
Yeah, it's unlikely that you're going to see another Avatar Wizard
in green.
Yeah, in green. So I love this. I think that's a really powerful effect. It's at Mythic, and it's definitely going to see.
I think it's fun.
Yeah, it is really fun.
Yeah, it's worth trying.
Radagast is also a super fun character.
Yeah, he's a silly little guy.
Yeah.
But I've just been noticing that like on a lot of cards here.
Yeah. Our next green card, Ritter, what do we got?
I got nothing else in green, man.
Our next black card, I've decided.
Oh, we've gone to black. Guys, I don't think we're going to complete the whole set in this episode.
We'll do this and then maybe a multicolor slide.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
We got to talk about red.
All right.
Well, I mean, that's
let's do all the
we'll do the 5.
Oh,
We'll do a multicolor and legendaries and colorless.
All right. I'm going to talk about something that I don't know if it's going to be any good, but it reads like it has a lot of upside, which is Shadow of the Enemy. 6 CMC total, 3 colorless, 3 black. Sorcery, exile all creature cards from target player's graveyard. You may cast spells from among those cards for as long as they remain exiled, and mana of any type can be spent to cast them. I'm usually pretty high on a steal your opponent's spells and play them type effect, and this is one of them. I just don't know if it's good enough, and I don't think it is.
I agree with you.
It is not Breach the Multiverse.
It is not Mnemonic Betrayal.
Yeah.
Take a turn off.
I just would like to point out Mnemonic Betrayal is 3 mana, and it hits all cards in all 3 graveyards.
Yes. This doesn't even seem that good. Like if you do show up to pre-release, or you do go draft this set and you pull this as your mythic, if you're drafting and this comes out as like your mythic in the pack, I'm probably passing it to the next player.
Yeah.
3 black pips. I know that like for a long time when I went to pre-release for Kamigawa and I pulled Invoke Despair, I was like, this isn't gonna see play. Like what the hell? And then turns out, lulz. It's one of the best cards in Standard.
That being said, like I get the upside here is that you get them forever. Like you can cast them for the rest of the game, I assume. The way the card's worded. So you do get that. You kind of have that ownership of it where, Mnemonic Betrayal effects are till the end of turn. That said, you're casting this kind of spell, especially at this level of mana. I expect you to win and not be passing the turn to win over the next 2 or 3 turns.
Totally. Look at the mana cost. It's the same as Bolas's Citadel. What would you rather have?
Shit.
Yep. Yeah,
I love Bolas's
Yeah,
Citadel.
you know what? I wanted to mention it.
For sure.
It's not going to play out.
Got a rag
way
on some
Breach
of
of the
the things you
Multiverse did. So.
Yeah, and what would you like?
Breach the Multiverse is fucking crazy.
This is a modern legal set where the power is supposed to be pushed, and Bolas's Citadel was a rare. Put that in perspective.
They did not want this to be, another Breach the Multiverse.
Well, guys, what about Lobelia Sackville Baggins? 1 black, 2 colorless, flash, menace. When she enters the battlefield, exile target creature card from an opponent's graveyard that was put there from the battlefield this turn, then create X treasure tokens, where X is the card's power.
See, I've been actually really enjoying this card. Like, ever since it was spoiled, I was talking about it. And I don't know how amazing it is, but I think it has a potential upside. It is essentially a black dockside with some restrictions.
It is, if you need a ritual package extended and you're in black mana, it might be worth considering.
Sans black dockside is not nothing, or sans red rather. And notably, it does not require your opponent's to have artifacts and enchantments, which sometimes they just don't have. Sometimes Dockside just doesn't get there.
They just need a chunky creature for you to get those treasures.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like this does play really well in mono black for like a commander deck. You could actually build around this card where it's just like stingy 1 mana removal. I'll flash this in and create a bunch of treasures and keep the ball rolling.
Or if you want to play politics, bait out someone else at the table to use some removal on a chunky body and then ramp off of it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And, it's also just Grave Hate on top of like the whole ritual side of things.
Kill Galta.
I think it would be kind of a fun Sisay include because it's a legendary creature. So like a tutorable, like instant speed exile effect that has upside. Hopefully, say like I drop a Hullbreaker Horror because I go to reanimate it, or a World Gorger Dragon. You instant speed activate Sisay, exile that, and then you have the mana to activate Sisay again.
Right.
Which is pretty fun.
And your opponent's stuck without their permanents?
Well, yeah, I mean, depending. No, you have to hit it from the graveyard.
Yeah.
So like you would just stop the reanimate.
Nice.
And then you get another activation. Like that seems pretty cool to me.
Yeah. Sniping something that your opponent's about to reanimate, whether it's like Razaketh or something like that, would be insane.
Yeah. Flash. Yeah, it has that versatility where you can just do a couple different things with it.
Yeah, it makes me think of like whatever that 5 mana counter spell is where you get the treasures in response. It's like that kind of like level where at 3 mana, if you hit the creature, you get that kind of effect.
Yeah, I really wish it didn't say an opponent's graveyard that was put there from the battlefield this turn.
That is an issue, yeah.
That is the hard part. That is the limitation.
The hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, something had to have already landed and then died.
Not necessarily true, because it's an Entomb will do that.
It has to go from the battlefield.
From the battlefield.
Is this from the battlefield?
From the battlefield.
Oh, never mind. Why are we talking about this card? This card's trash. Moving on.
It's quick to switch sides.
Oh, 100%. That card's terrible.
All right, fine. Here's another trash card, Orcish Bowmasters.
You
we already talked about
a fool.
Why are we talking about this? This card's trash.
Sucks.
This is the best card in the set.
Just so we know, Card Kingdom is pre-selling the base variant of this for $38.
Oh, boy.
Jesus fucking Christ. It's not even like any of the Chase Mythics in the set or the box toppers. It's this card that everybody wants.
I mean, it's real good in CDH. It's going to be real good.
My God, it's going to be so good.
It's going to be oppressive because it is going to warp the format a little bit around itself.
I mean, do we... Yes. Do we put it like in the same category as Opposition Agent? Maybe even better than Opposition Agent?
I think it's better. I think it's officially better for how good Opposition Agent is. I think this is better because we tutor a lot, we draw even more.
Yeah,
I'm
just
glad
find the slot for it in your deck, right?
Yeah,
that's the answer. It's a new staple like Douthy, like at that level.
Yeah.
Just it
goes
in.
I would if you don't have a spot because Douthy's in your deck, I would cut Douthy.
I wouldn't say that.
No, I would just find remove both because they're both super good.
We've talked about this card for weeks now. It feels like
100%. We like to talk about this Wheel Thief package, where you're punishing draws and kind of forcing it a little bit. This is just another card like that is amazing with that. On top of that, it just punches everything we want to do. And I'll bring up, it's exactly what I was just talking about. It's that ETB plus. Whenever it ETBs or whenever an opponent draws a card except for their first one.
This is where
we never read this card, by the way.
This is where it's broken for me. Yeah.
We got really excited.
Go ahead.
Okay, I already read half of it. Orcish Bowmasters, 1 in the black. It has flash for a 1/1. When it ETBs or when an opponent draws a card that is not the first one in their draw step, it deals 1 damage to any fucking target. And for some reason, you also get to amass Orcs 1. Yeah, dude, it's insane. Like we were talking, like it just punishes the Esper Sentinel, like you get the draw, instantly kill it. Or even better, you snipe it with the ETB.
Before you cast your non-creature spell.
So many
for the
times
turn.
when you're interacting with draw engines, you have to give them at least 1, right? Like, you Pyroblast the fish, you give them the 1. This denies the 1, and I love that.
Yeah. Also, another thing I want to add in, it interacts well with Ob Nixilis, Captive Kingpin,
It's
which our Discord has been pretty heavy on lately.
Yeah, it's a very good card and a commander that's on the up and up right now. And I feel like this set was very much intentional about like gassing that card up. I don't know why, but there are multiple cards here that really are a benefit.
Yeah, the problem here, and it's not a problem, it just speaks to the power of the card, is that the entirety of Magic is built around the strongest mechanic in the game, and that is drawing cards.
Yeah.
So now, we saw it, we recorded a few gameplay videos where I was playing Xerus, and that also has the same text where it says whenever an opponent would draw a card outside of the first one in each of their draw steps, create a green snake. And there were a couple Esper Sentinels on the board, and then all of a sudden you're just like, wow, I had 9 snakes without instigating any.
Yeah, before
card
no
draw.
combat. No combat with Xerus, which is the whole point.
I landed Xerus and I passed the turn, and I had 9 snakes before it came back to my turn.
Yeah.
Which was just unreal, which just shows you how frequent this ability is going to trigger.
I mean, I don't know how powerful it would be. You could just build a deck build around every time your opponent draws their second card each turn, like Mangara the Diplomat, just so many things. Maybe even Smuggler's Share might be good in that deck. But you could abuse it so much.
Totally.
They're very abusable lines of text for sure. Evan, this makes me think of is really funny is because don't you play that sacrifice deal 1 damage with your snakes in that deck?
Yeah, you're talking about
Goblin Bombardment?
Goblin, yeah.
So that's like a 7 mana Orcish Bowmaster because you have to draw the card, sacrifice the snake, do 1 damage.
Yeah.
And now you have it on a 2-bodied creature with flash.
Yeah, it's really kind of crazy how push this is. And it's gone so far that the conversation that when I'm playing games online is like when you cast something, the response that people have right now is dies to Bowmaster.
Dies to Bowmaster.
I'll cast a Birds of Paradise, dies to Bowmaster.
There's so many tournaments going on right now in the CDH scene, and it's just like, I think we're all just chomping at the bit to add this card. Like, it just needs to become legal so we can add it immediately.
The good news is that Bowmaster dies to Bowmaster. So
Bowmaster v. Bowmaster?
Yep. So if you have 2 Bowmasters on the field, the responsible thing to just kill each other's Bowmasters?
Well, it depends. I think that becomes a very political situation because then if there's like a blue farm player at the table that's not either of the Bowmaster owners, you can really punish a deck that exclusively prioritizes draw engines.
Yeah, turn sequence and how priority is ordered is going to play heavily into this because if 2 players are holstering Bowmasters, right? The first player that has priority and plays their Bowmaster is like, aha, right? The second player goes, aha, and they snipe your Bowmaster, and then the wheel goes off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like crazy. It's an ETB effect. So you can just literally, someone thinks they're going to get a Bowmaster trigger, they put it out there, you ETB yours and just snipe their Bowmaster and reap all the rewards.
Mm-hmm.
That's how.
That is why. That is exactly
that makes when you said it's format warping before, I thought maybe you were a little outside the lines, but no, it does sound now like okay. There's so many situations where you're now playing around it.
For once,
where
we were
relevant in this shell and this shell and this shell and
There are some things that just need to stick to the board that are like 1 power that most people just shrug their shoulders at and go, I guess Esper Sentinel's going to sit there a while.
Yeah.
I guess this is Birds of Paradise, all the dorks are just going to sit there the rest of the game until...
That's the thing, dude.
We
bolt the bird.
Yeah.
Stomp the snake.
I think dorks
Exactly.
are going to be really suffering right now because everybody wants to play this card and it's going to be insane. Also, Notion Thief dies because it's a 3/1.
Yeah, this is going to absolutely torture green. Green, yes, green is bad. Green just got worse because it did not get a protection from this card. There is no way to answer this in green right now, and you need to be playing another color. I'm teching Gut Shot into a lot of my decks because I need to kill this. Right? It gets an ETB, it snipes one of my dorks. I need to be able to pay 2 life and fuck this thing up and get it off the battlefield. Otherwise, my whole board is absolutely just terrified of this thing. It shreds you.
As the Grixis player, I always feel that I'm at I know the rocks are faster, but they're also just a little bit worse to me than building the board of dorks and having that mana. They're harder to interact with. They don't feed dockside. That being said, they just became so much more easy to interact with. So I'm excited to get to play it to counter my adversary, essentially.
Over or under 6 months to get banned.
Oh, to get banned?
Yes, that's how strong I think it is.
I don't
think it gets banned.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I think it's
because it's modern.
I think we're still only talking about the first half of that effect, which is dealing damage. We're not even talking about the Amass Orcs 1.
Okay, I don't know, but for me, the comparison would be like Ragavan. Similar CMC, similar. It's going to be doing a bunch of stuff to irritate you.
Dies to Bowmaster,
but it dies to Bowmaster. But that's still not
great.
oppressive enough to get banned. Dockside's not oppressive enough to get banned, and I don't think Orcish Bowmaster exceeds the oppressiveness of either of those cards.
That's why I like saying over or under. Where do you put your bet? Do you think over would be it doesn't get banned, right?
No, I think it's just a format stable. That's it.
And it just.
You think it's going to get banned?
I feel like it's going to get played so heavily right off the bat that everyone's going to overreact to it, maybe, and then we could potentially look at something where like. The overreaction maybe is a little bit too much. Like we saw Hull Breacher, it existed for a while, right? That was too powerful. I just don't know if it's not that level yet because it doesn't deny you the draw, but it's going to be really hard to find an answer for this.
Has like Sheldon even said he's going to look at this, monitor the situation?
No. But I know a lot of people disagree and they'd be like, no, it's not going to get banned. It's just because you want to play it. It's like, just look at it from like the outside perspective of the game and like everything that all these decks that exist out here, it completely turns off green decks. Nobody wants to play against this because it just completely turns off a full slice of the color pie. Like that is my argument.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
It's like you need to be drawing cards in green and the only advantage you have is to build mana through your creatures most of the time. Right? It just shuts that off.
I don't know. I will play a mana dork package, but I prefer a sorcery and instant based ramp package. Like I feel safer just having the lands,
Right.
Well, I mean, yeah, lands are by far the safest. Yeah, I don't know if it'll get banned, but I do know it's going to be a good fucking card, and I'm excited to play it.
It is a good fucking card.
I'm going to buy as many Tyler Jacobson foils as possible and get them signed.
I don't think we can top that in black, so we just finish out with red. We got to play some Magic soon, so
yes.
Yeah. How about Spiteful Banditry?
I love this card.
Yeah, it's a great card.
I love it because I'm mostly enchantment based. Right, a lot of my strategies are enchantment based, so this is actually going to go in Shalai and Halar because I can just X as one, let this sit on the battlefield. Whatever wipes I get a treasure in return, but it also contributes to Sarah's Sanctum, to the Sanctum Weaver, which nobody respects.
True.
And this, like, it's basically the red version of Meat Hook Massacre. So when it was announced, Card Kingdom wanted $50 like for it, like for
the Meat Hook rate.
Yeah,
I don't think it's as good as Meat Hook Massacre.
No,
I don't think it is either.
Yeah, that once per turn getting a treasure is nice, but it's not something that's gonna,
Neg-X
make you go off.
I think it is really good though.
Oh, it's super good.
Neg-X is just stronger.
Extremely powerful.
It's just way stronger, and the fact that Meat Hook Massacre can just win you the game through some sort of like loop is actually crazy.
It is crazy because it is also an outlet. And
if you're creating one treasure turn, you're not looping anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That means I don't know. Like
it's not a $50 card.
It's not a $50 card. No. And you're right. It shouldn't be charged like that. But what Evan was just saying is we need more board wipes like in this format, right? And like this is I think an attempt at justifying it as we're starting to see, the payoff, the board wipe plus, I want to say. And like I'm playing Rolling Earthquake right now, right?
Yeah.
So this is pretty close to Rolling Earthquake, but the only difference is it's on an enchantment instead of a sorcery that gives me
upside. Yeah.
Color fixes me, ramps me. Yeah, only one treasure per turn. You know what else gets you one treasure per turn? Ragavan.
Hey. He's a good card.
Yeah, he is a good card.
Not banned.
I'll never live that down, right?
I am excited. Sorry, we were talking about it earlier. I didn't say it. I'm excited for the new play pattern, though. If the Ragavan player is not going first, right? It's like you establish a land, they play land Ragavan, then you get to untap, and then you get to snipe them at flash. Like that maybe balances Ragavan in Modern a little bit.
Well, it's so easy to turn one Bowmaster.
Do you think that's what they were thinking when they designed?
I mean, I could see that.
We got to answer Ragavan in Modern, not even thinking about the wheel effects in CDH.
Well, I know Evan. I know. Sorry, I'm trying to bring us back to this conversation, but I know Evan's worried about it as a hating on green, but I think it's more hating on, like you said, the most powerful effect in Magic, right? So we have some cards that are just kind of too powerful, and this does help answer that a little bit. Like
I think green is just so weak that it's getting incidentally nerfed and no one's even considering it.
That is my thought.
This balances Modern. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that it balances Ragavan.
Yeah, this is Modern Horizons 2.5, and it's doing the work.
Oh, I think this balances a lot of CDH too, though.
Yeah.
Like, my deck is incredibly greedy because all I do is play things that say draw cards on it. And if you play this against me, it's going to really hurt. I play Tevesh, and this hits Tevesh.
Yeah, this is an anti-Adnaz, too. It's like...
100%. By the way, speaking of Tevesh, sorry, Nasty End in black might have a home.
Nasty End.
Yeah,
I love the name.
2 CMC, sack a creature. If it was legendary, you draw 3 cards. If it wasn't legendary, it's 2 cards.
Ooh, it's a little Taveshi.
Yeah, it's mini Tavesh effect. I don't know if it's worthwhile, but sorry to get us
I mean,
off
no
track.
worries. Yeah. I definitely was the one that made us off track. All right, back to this Spiteful Mastery. Definitely is not a $50 card, but I'm going to try it out in the decks that I play Rolling Earthquake. I've really liked how Rolling Earthquake plays, and I think, for the same reason Orcish Bowmasters kid, destroying all the mana dorks at 1 damage or 2 damage is pretty goddamn good.
The 3 mana conversion is actually justified.
It's not bad, yeah. And then 4 mana, like 2 to everything, that starts getting Delighted Halflings and, Najeelers and stuff like that. And then you're getting a treasure, holding up interaction, and all of a sudden things start dying, and now you have 4 treasures out of nowhere.
Later in the game, it gets
Baseline,
better.
not a bad card.
I think baseline, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Display of power, possible combo lines, 3 CMC, can't be countered, copy target's instant or sorcery.
I love this card.
Yeah.
I love that. I like that we're starting to get more can't be copied, not
Can't be copied. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a spicy little nugget. I play Angelo, so initially, I wanna think about this card, and I think Angelo is specifically the deck that does not want to play this card.
Well, this is redundancy for you.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's you kill my Angelo, I still have an option.
Yeah, I don't know if it's better than like Dual Caster or the other traditional spell copying combo lines you would follow.
No.
But it is worth playtesting for sure.
Notably, I think it is outside of like a combo scenario, I think it is red interaction on a very high power.
Yeah, for sure.
In my head, it is a not free mind break trap for red. Including completely countering a mind break trap.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fucking sick.
I was thinking the same thing.
Flusterstorm.
Yeah, it allows you to stop Flusterstorm.
Yeah.
It allows you to stop those effects that, unless you pay this amount of mana, it's like...
Actually, I think is the first time we've seen an outside of blue color have an answer to these effects. Because these are the only, blue is the only one that can do stuff like this.
Yeah. I mean, it allows you to, copy an entire crazy stack of brain freezes, you know, if you wanted to. I'm not sure where that's valuable.
Right.
If it's like milling yourself or milling your opponent because they have a draw trigger. I don't know, something like that.
I think this is just gonna have crazy high ceiling. Sometimes it's not gonna do some stuff, but sometimes you'll just win the counterspell, or you'll win the thing because you came out of nowhere as the red deck with this fucking card. It's gonna be insane.
Totally.
Kind of almost like not Snapcaster Mage, but the other one, red one, Dualcaster Mage. Where sometimes, it's a combo piece, but sometimes you just snipe an Adnaz off the stack and you get to go first. This does that too.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Or say the Adnaz player just tried to protect and there was this whole counterspell war on top of the stack. And then, they're like, all right, gassed out. And you're like, okay, mono red player, display of power. I'll copy the Adnaz and all the counterspells. I'll counter your Ad Nauseam and I will be the only one to resolve an Adnaz.
Yeah, it can create a huge swing in some of those scenarios that are very easy to imagine. In CDH, there are so many times. Why wouldn't you just copy the game-winning spell that your opponent just cast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ever been deflecting swatted when you go to Peer into the Abyss? It feels pretty fucking bad.
Yeah. Would you like to copy a deflecting swat and up here into the Abyss?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty cool. I think that has a high ceiling. I don't think it'll see a ton of play because it's a 3-mana interaction spell in red.
I think it's one of those things that someone will leave 3 mana sitting up and no one will see it coming. They're like, what could he possibly
You're going to love to see it.
Yes.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
When it does happen,
stoked.
People at the table will be screaming.
They'll be hooting and hollering. Yep. You know what? We are running late on time, so I'm only going to talk about one more card, but it does loop back to a conversation we were just having about Ob Nixilis, which is Gimli Counter of Kills. 4 CMC, it's a dwarf, which is relevant to Magda. There's a couple relevant dwarves in this set. But Gimli Counter of Kills, every time a creature an opponent control dies, it pings you.
Dude. Yes.
Yeah, it's good. It's an uncommon 4/3 with trample, and for 4 mana, the conversion rate isn't great here, but if it lands on the board, it definitely does start counting up, pun intended.
Or you're in black red. Pair it with that Orcish Bowmasters. We figured out how to break Orcish Bowmasters. You can just start going off.
Totally.
Yeah.
There is one other red card. I think Moria Marauder is going to see play.
Yeah, the Goblin, right? 2 CMC, 2 red, right?
Yep, and it has double strike, and whenever a Goblin or Orc you control deals combat damage to a player, exile a top card of your library, you may play that card this turn. So in combination with Ob Nixilis, you see 4 cards instead of just 2.
Yeah.
So it's really great. It also is a great blocker for cards like Ragavan. So it just unfortunately dies to Bowmaster.
Oh, man.
You know, I didn't even think about this, Ritter, but now that you said that, like, Magda definitely got some gas with, like,
Yeah,
dwarves.
there's a few dwarves. There's Gloin, which
Yeah,
is,
that's
he's
exactly-
creating some treasure tokens for you.
Whenever you cast a legendary or a historic spell. So, you know, when you play this, then you cast Magda, you get a treasure without even tapping.
I think that goes into Magda.
I'm not
100%.
I'm not a Magda player, so I can't speak authoritatively on this, but I think what Magda actually needs is like 1 and 2 CMC dwarves, really. I think a lot of the dwarves that were printed in the set are a little too high in CMC to be auto-include or
Totally.
like solve some problems.
How much is
But
that guy? I thought he was 2,
it
right?
does give some reach, you know?
Yeah, isn't that guy 2?
I think Gloin is 3, maybe.
Gloin is 3. Yes.
Oh,
Gloin is 3.
shit.
Two in a red for the out.
Yeah, that's hard to justify.
Yeah.
It's whenever you cast a historic spell. So, like, you could crypt land
Artifacts?
into this. Yeah, artifacts. So you just, like, drop your whatever you drop after that point, sphere of resistance or something like that. You are generating your treasure.
I do think Gloin ultimately does go in Magda, though. It
I think
seems like
so.
it should.
I also love that in Magda, you tap, sacrifice a treasure. Magda makes you another treasure. So you
Right.
can just free goad something, which is not great. But I will say just outright, a dwarf that has upside that taps itself is good in Magda.
Totally.
Yes. Yep.
All right. I think that's it for our the first episode of this Lord of the Rings review.
There's just so much to talk
Yeah,
about.
we'll talk about lands, artifacts, and multicolor in the next podcast. And definitely there are some juiced potential commanders in the multicolor.
Not even all that.
arena.
There's also
Yeah.
the fucking box toppers to go over, dude.
Oh, box toppers, yeah. Great
Well,
box
yeah, we'll
toppers.
include that in the next episode too. I know this episode is a little bit longer than our standard fare, but we hope that you've enjoyed it so far.
We're just excited about the set.
It's a very exciting
Yeah,
set.
I think like right away we were skeptical about like the announcement of a Lord of the Rings set, and then all of a sudden they come out swinging with this like very like immersive artwork. Like all these cards have their flavor on point. All of the flavor text being little excerpts from the books. Like
Yeah, this extends
Yeah.
the good feeling from the Warhammer IP, like where they just did it right, did it right for the fans, did it right for the game, and I have a great feeling about this.
Yeah,
set.
it just feels tenfold
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
I think it's great, and I'm excited to talk about it more.
Yeah, very excited to see more Universes Beyond stuff if it's given this same treatment. So,
100%.
if you guys enjoyed this episode and you want to support the show, you can do so by finding us on YouTube, where you can like, subscribe, and hit that little bell for more notifications. And you can find us on all major podcasting platforms, where you can follow the show and be sure to rate the show. Give us 5 stars. It's super helpful for the algorithm for people to find us. And and be sure to join the Discord. I'll include a link in the description below. The community is popping on there. We are just
Join
like
the fam.
I feel like I'm having a conversation like 12 of the 14 hours that I'm awake.
I love
Like,
that
on that.
I don't like text pretty much at all, but I'm on Discord all the time and like having like much more meaningful conversations, I feel sometimes.
Yeah, it's great because we have people who are like-minded, who are stimulating the conversation, having like these talks that we're having like on the podcast and helping contribute to the show.
Yeah.
So if you want to feel like you want to get on there and you want to contribute to the show, jump on our Discord. Best place to have that conversation.
Yeah. 100%.
That's pretty much it. We'll do episode 2 next week, and you guys have a good one. Thanks for listening.
Have a great one.
Peace.
Bye-bye.